wrestler. Call me a word boy.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Bit of a word boy myself.
You can be my word girl.
But why did they choose the boy and not like, I'm a cowman?
Well, because it's the owner of the ranch, probably. But by the way, totally making this is totally made up. It's the owner of the ranch who's like, look a little condescending, right? My boy's out there on the ranch doing work for me. Right?
With the cows.
Yeah.
And so
You
they're
know,
cowing my
busboy.
boys.
Cowboy.
This is kind of belittling, though. You're right.
Like I have moved from cowboy to cowman.
Now, in Finland, do they have
To be honest, Cowman sounds like a little bit disturbing.
It could be
Half cow, half man.
What about just cow person? Just make
Right.
sure
That's
that
a little bit
everyone
more
feels
respect.
included.
Yeah.
I'm a cow person.
Have a cow person.
It's like what was that Chris Elliott movie, Cabin Boy? And he has that line, "I'm a cabin boy, but when I return, I shall become I will be a cabin man."
I never saw that.
Yeah,
Was it funny or no?
It's a Chris Elliott movie. If you like his humor, you might chuckle.
Yeah.
Definitely of its time. Like
Yes.
that is a movie that did not age at all. It was funny when Chris Elliott Jr. was still somebody people knew from David Letterman.
What was that TV show he did? All I remember was the
show.
Because it had "Stand" by REM as the opening theme music.
Captain Jack's like, it was stupid even back in the early 90s. Come on. It was kind of stupid fun.
I do remember the episode he sent away for a giant, like, submersible, like a submarine. And he had nowhere to
Get
put
a
it.
Life. That was Chris
That was
Elliott.
a Get a Life. And he put it in the bathtub,
Yeah.
but it was one of those bathtub showers with the sliding doors. So he had to seal up the glass portion of it so he could fill it with enough water to put the sub in it. It was just really stupid.
Stupid human tricks. The era of stupid human tricks.
It was the generation of offspring music.
Well, my friends, now that we've discussed Chris Elliott Jr., fertility rates and my Thanksgiving plans.
Cow people.
We do, and cow people. So we do a show.
I think that might be the right thing to do.
All right.
The right way to do it.
Then I will begin it in 15 seconds. Let's see. There we go. Got that there. Okay. Everybody ready? In 4, 3, 2, 1. Thanks to everyone who supports independent tech news directly. If you're not already, become a DTNS member at patreon.com/DTNS. This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, November 20th, 2018 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
And from beautiful Finnish countryside, I'm Patrick Beja.
And somewhere in the LA County area, I am Roger Chang, the show's producer.
We are going to talk about a pretty interesting new technology company that's trying to do something I've seen a lot of people do, which is project, well, not even project, but just turn anything into an input device. A lot of times we get folks in our regular surveys saying, why don't you talk about companies that are doing new things? Well, that's what we're going to do today. Let's start with a few other new things you should know.
It's not new, but Bitcoin dropped to its lowest level in over a year on Monday, sinking to $4,883.09 if you're converting to US dollars, which is a drop of 22% in the past 7 days and more than 65% this year, according to data from CoinDesk. The cryptocurrency is also down more than 30% since the Thanksgiving holiday week last year.
Bad for my predictions. Cheddar's sources say Snap plans to release a $350 version of its spectacle glasses. This one will have 2 cameras, an aluminum frame, and the ability to produce augmented reality effects in videos. Right there in the glasses. Snap plans to make 24,000 pairs of this new model. So for those of you keeping score, it's the most expensive pair of spectacles, and it's the lowest production run yet.
What are they doing?
They're a camera company.
They're making spectacles.
Exactly. Let's talk a little more about something that we loved but is going away, or at least a lot of us did.
Some of us did. I mean, a few. Valve is discontinuing its Steam Link device, but will continue to support it. The box steamed PC games to a TV through a plug-in controller, keyboard, and mouse. The Steam Link launched in 2015, but since then, Valve has brought the Steam Link app directly to Android phones and Samsung smart TVs and pulled back focus on additional hardware devices.
This is probably something that didn't need to continue to exist because you can use almost any device now as a Steam Link. But it was pretty cool to be able to just take this little $20 or at its cheapest $2.50 tiny device and turn whatever screen you could attach it to into an extension of your PC.
I mean, it's something that cheap, and obviously it wasn't always $2.50, but I mean, the company definitely slashed the prices. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It sounds like they just had a hard time getting the word out, plus it being a bit of a middleman when once the app came to smartphone devices, particularly Android, a lot of people just leapfrogged the need for it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the app does the job. It's not available on Apple devices, which is a little bit of a bummer. It does the job on, Android smart TV devices. I'm guessing. I don't have one, so haven't tested it, but there's no reason it wouldn't. The price was slashed last year already, or early this year. It was like $5. Literally delivery was more expensive than the device itself. And it already seemed like they were clearance sailing it. But beyond this, I think it's interesting to see Valve kind of pulling back on, it seems, all of its weird efforts. Valve for a long time has been a very successful game development company, and when Steam took off, they stopped making games. Essentially, they made a few here and there, but it wasn't the heart of their business anymore. And they tried doing hardware stuff and hardware. Do you remember the Steam machines?
Oh, the Steam machines. Oh, yeah.
And those were a response to concerns that Microsoft might try to make it more difficult for third-party apps to run on Windows at some point. Now that has been, those fears have been alleviated, and so the Steam machines kind of went away. There's a whole lot of factors, but overall, I'm kind of wondering what Valve is if Valve isn't thinking, all right, you know what? We've tried a lot of things. We've done some VR stuff. They didn't build it themselves. Maybe it's time we start being serious again. Maybe they won't. I mean, they're a privately held company. They can do whatever they want. But this really seems like they're starting to clean up all of the different weird things they've been trying their hands at for the past few years.
And the Steam cash cow can keep them going for a while, although, companies like Discord are starting to even try to eat into that. So yeah, it would be interesting to see if they start doubling down back on games again.
Sources tell the Wall Street Journal that Samsung is working on 4 different variants of the Galaxy S10. It's been kind of under wraps, although there have been some rumors about what the device would be. Well, the Wall Street Journal sources say this would include a 5G-capable 6.7-inch model nicknamed Beyond X, with 2 cameras in the front and 4 in the back. 6 cameras total, everybody. Samsung reportedly will unveil the camera mid-February, but then release in conjunction with 5G network rollouts with various carriers, at least in the US. The other 3 S10 models are said to have screens ranging from 5.8 to 6.4 inches and have 3 to 5 cameras total each.
So we might not get this right away after it's announced if 5G service isn't available. It sounds like according to the journal, they're talking to carriers about whether they'll be able to launch on 5G on their networks because they want to have that there. So it'd be interesting if we get 4 variants announced. 3 of them are just what you would expect in the slow evolution of smartphones in a Galaxy S10. One is this 6-camera beast with 5G, but you can't get it until maybe November or something.
November seems quite far off. I would be surprised if it was that far off. I mean, you don't necessarily need 5G at the moment you're buying it. At least you're future proof. So
But
maybe there's something.
the way the journal was saying it, they wouldn't sell it till you could get that one with 5G service.
Right. I understand. I think, 5G is going to start appearing relatively soon in some countries. So maybe, I don't know. What strikes me even more in this rumor is the Galaxy S10, the big model, seems like a way to sell a really expensive phone, and that's something that has been working out quite well for Apple. So I wouldn't be surprised if other companies that are trying to increase their revenue and margins in a world where people buy less phones, if they're trying the same things. I mean, it worked for Apple. There's no reason it wouldn't work for them. They're one of the few premium brands on Android, and they should probably be able to capture the same kind of sentiment.
Yeah, I don't know that just a lot. I mean, I know some people are very, very, very into multiple cameras. And so that might be enough to get a few people interested. Obviously, having a 5G phone early will get a lot of early adopters interested. The foldable phone isn't going to be this one from Samsung, though. So I'm not sure how different this is, really.
Well, I mean,
features.
There aren't a million things they can do. It's going to have a really big screen. It's going to have 5G. It's going to have 6 cameras. If you want the best one, it almost doesn't really matter what the best one features as long as it's the best one. And certainly in the case of Apple, it seems that that's the way it's working. You can get to 10R, which is 90% when the 10S does, or even more. People don't really care. The people who are, I think, in the market for these kinds of phones, if they have $900 to spend on a phone and they want the best one, they're probably okay spending $1,100. So I don't know.
There has to be a limit somewhere, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Right, of course, but in that range, I think it still works out.
Microsoft is implementing FIDO2 password-free logins for Microsoft accounts used for things like Outlook, Office 365, OneDrive, Skype, Xbox Live, Bing, a few others. It works on Windows 10 and the Edge browser. So users have to have a hardware key, like a YubiKey, which can work with USB, Bluetooth, or NFC. And then that hardware key is used in combination with Windows Hello, either the facial recognition or the fingerprint recognition. You could also use the YubiKey type thing with a PIN code or with a phone running the Microsoft Authenticator app. But the idea is, however you're using it, as long as you're using Windows 10 or Edge, you will be able to just log in without having to know a password. The PIN code is the closest to a password, but it can be a lot simpler, so easier to remember, and still be securely logged in. Other companies that support hardware augmented login through FIDO2 are Google, Dropbox, Twitter, Facebook, GitHub, LastPass, 1Password, and Dashlane. But this is a big deal, especially because of the large swath of the enterprise market that Microsoft has, to be able to make another step towards a password-free world and living in it.
I don't know that I prefer two-factor authentication where I have to have 2 things. I mean, I don't, because one of them is biometric.
Two-factor authentication, though.
No, but I mean,
you want to have something, but if you do, you don't have to have a thing if it's facial ID, right?
Right, but facial ID isn't there yet, I don't think. If you're using, no, my point is, you don't have a camera on every PC. You do on every laptop, but you don't on every desktop, or like you have to set it up. I don't, I have Windows Hello on my desktop here. I don't use it because it's cumbersome.
But you have,
and I'm being an old man is what you're going to say, and probably yes.
No, I was going to let you go on this one because you narrowed your objection enough. But Windows Hello works really well. That's where my original reaction came from. I love Windows Hello.
I mean, as somebody who has to reset passwords on at least 3 services a week, even though I use a password manager and feel like I'm somewhat in control of the kind of passwords I'm choosing at any given time, I like this idea. Passwords are a pain. They, it seemed like that was the most secured method for a really long time. And there have been advancements, certainly, but I don't know. Bring on the facial recognition. I'm
Are
ready.
you a Patrick,
You're
or are
convincing
you
me.
a Sarah? Let us know. Feedback at Daily Tech News Show.
I'm slowly becoming a Sarah, though. Give me another couple of years,
Okay.
and I'll be there.
Excellent.
Amazon is in the running to buy Fox's 22 regional sports networks from Disney. Disney is acquiring a large portion of Fox and has agreed to conditions on the acquisition that they must sell the 22 regional sports networks within 90 days of the close of the acquisition. Among the 22 networks is the Yes Network, which carries the New York Yankees and Brooklyn Nets games, which are sports team, I imagine, in the United States of America.
You know what the New
That's
York
correct.
Yankees are.
Right.
The
You
Yankees,
probably
yes.
know
Are
what the
they?
Nets are too.
I think No. Yankees. I think they're baseball.
Yeah,
That's
they are.
right.
Okay, and Nets. I'm gonna guess basketball because
Yeah.
Nets.
See?
Yep.
So
See?
I
See?
guess
Not
knew
rocket
one actual
science.
one. Not too bad. Several other companies are interested in buying the networks, and some are interested in buying the Yes Network separately. How could you say no?
You can't say no to
Well,
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're a
Hmm.
Boston fan, maybe.
Right.
So, what would Amazon do with regional sports networks, which
Add
are
Prime Video, add sports to Prime Video, because one
Right.
of the things people say, like, I don't want to cut the cord, I need my sports. But what if suddenly Amazon said, hey, as part of Amazon Prime, you now get your sports?
sounds like that would be a reasonable answer to that reasonable objection.
Yeah, I mean the Yes Network is it doesn't contain information on teams that I'm usually watching, but that version of the network that was centered around San Francisco teams, I would pay for. I'd pay a little premium, and if that was part of Amazon Prime in some fashion, that would be great because unless something is on local television, I don't see it when it's sports.
Well, and that's a really good example because Bay Area Sports is on Comcast Sports Bay Area, which is an NBC owned property. That would not be part of this. So the Bay Area folks wouldn't get the advantage, but Fox Sports West, which has got the LA area teams, would be on this. But the Dodgers are not on that, only the Angels. So for, as far as baseball goes. So it is not going to get them all the sports, but it certainly would give them access to a lot of it and be a thing that they could add to Amazon Prime Video. My guess is as an add-on, like add on a regional sports network to your Prime Video subscription, the way you add on Stars or HBO or something like that.
Oh my God, we're getting there. We're going back. We're going back to the past. That's terrible.
But we get to watch our sports, Patrick, and still be cord cutters.
Yes, of course.
And you get
cord
more
cutters. I think air quotes when you're saying cord
Amazon,
cutters.
I know.
Well, hold on, before we move on though, I have to counter that because Amazon gives you a lot more control than any traditional cable company has.
Of course. No, I was, semi joking.
Well, Google's making some improvements to its call screen feature that will include transcripts. This is according to employee posts on Google forums. And those transcripts will automatically be saved to the dialer app after the call for later viewing. Anybody who used this feature before, you could see the transcript while you were screening the call, but there wasn't a save option unless you took a screenshot. So a little bit cumbersome beforehand. A Google employee named Paul Dunlap wrote that this new feature, quote, will be available to our public beta testers first, and then all Pixel 3 users later in the year.
Now, this is interesting because I think this is an example of you don't really know how people are going to use it until you launch it. Because I, for one, felt that, well, why would you want a transcript? When they first demoed this, I'm like, yeah, I want to see what's happening while the call is on so I can decide whether to pick up or not. That was the way it was pitched, and I thought that was pretty valuable. But what happened is a lot of people missed the call and then said, well, I want to see what they said. They didn't leave a message, but it would be great if you could just save a transcript and I could see who that was and decide whether to block them or call them back. And Google's like, well, we didn't really think anybody'd want to do that, but all right. And good responsiveness here making that happen.
Is there some privacy issue there? Because I don't think the reasonable expectation is that you're going to be somehow recorded as you're talking to the assistant, unless the assistant tells you.
Well, but I mean, if you were to leave a voicemail now,
yes, but this is not a voicemail, right?
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, it's
against the rules for me to write down what you're saying when you called me, would it?
I know, but it's a technicality. I think this is a new thing, and people wouldn't be expecting anyone, and especially not that computer, to be writing it down. And I don't think it quite falls into the area of voicemail, as you're saying, Sarah. Maybe it does. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what this is, but it picks up, kind of leading you to believe that you're being screened and being asked question for the person to decide whether or not they're going to pick up. So it's not quite voicemail. And if that conversation is being recorded, even if it's in writing and not in voice, I don't know. There's a little bit of a creepy.
I think you're coming up with an objection where one doesn't need to be, because the objection has always been, you need to tell me that this is a computer. And I think it does that now. It says, hey, I'm the Google Assistant, and I'll be, I don't know what the wording is, but I think it implies that it's going to be keeping this conversation for its own purposes, for machine learning. So I think just providing the transcript to the user is below that level of expectation.
I think whatever the way it's presented, as long as people have an understanding that this might be recorded somehow, I think it's fine. I think
it also starts to be a little ridiculous to say, look, I called someone to talk to them, but I didn't expect them to remember what I said. I don't want to be beholden to my own words. Like, come on.
I think also, I mean, the nice thing about this feature that, it's going to come in handy for a lot of people is being able to screen out just spam calls. Sure, there are going to be some legitimate people who you look at the transcript and go, oh yeah, it was that person, let me call them back. But most of the time, this is screening out stuff that you never wanted to answer in the first place.
True.
Folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, that can keep you up to date. If you miss a DTNS, you don't have to miss out on the news. Check out dailytechheadlines.com. So for many years, companies have trotted out devices that could turn surfaces into input devices. Usually they were projecting something. One of the more common ones I remember over the years was devices that would project a keyboard onto a desk. And then as you blocked the light, it would be able to tell which keys you were trying to tap. They worked with varying effectiveness. TechCrunch reports that a London startup named Hypersurfaces is the latest to try this, but they're taking it a lot farther. Their device uses machine learning and vibration sensors to recognize the inputs that you're having on pretty much anything. So the vibrations that are caused by you tapping a location on a surface can be learned. Once trained, the algorithm then can run on a local system on a chip for instant gesture recognition. You might need the cloud to train it, but once it's trained, you don't need the cloud anymore. So that makes it fast, that makes it cheap, and that makes it local. Not a privacy issue. A kitchen table could control your smart lights. When you sit down for dinner, you can just tap the table, it turns on the lights. The floor could detect intruders by figuring out like the patterns of walking of you and your cats, but not, if they don't recognize it, sound the alarm. The biggest interested party in this is the auto industry, and the video demo that Hypersurfaces provides shows a car where you can tap on the inside of the glass or the outside of the glass, and it can tell whether you're tapping on the inside or the outside. You can tap on the side of the door. You could put a magazine in the little compartment and it'll know something went in there. And the auto industry is very interested in using that to improve the control system in cars. But I feel like we could probably come up with all kinds of things this could work for. And it is the sort of thing that could really change how we interact with stuff and the composition of stuff when it doesn't, you don't have to have a keyboard and you don't have to even have a touchscreen anymore necessarily.
I think we need to specify this doesn't work. I mean, I don't know that it doesn't, but it doesn't seem to work to be able to distinguish things that are so close that you would be able to use it as a keyboard. At least in the demo, they're showing the taps are maybe 5 inches, 6 inches apart at least. But aside from that, also it's not like you can't touch screen like slide on a surface and it will recognize that you're sliding.
Those are both great questions. I don't know that it couldn't do that. It may just not be good enough yet, or they'd be showing it, I think.
Yeah, that's true. But the way they're showing it is already really interesting. There are many examples of things that it could be used for. The one with the car door, isn't just, tapping on one portion of the car door. It's also things like opening or pulling on the door. Oh, how do you call that thing?
Handle.
The handle, or releasing it, and things like that. It feels like this technology, if it works as advertised, kind of digitizes interactions you have with your environment. There's a cost question, efficiency question, but the having sensors that detect where you touch what in pretty much anything with a very limited number of sensors could have incredible amounts of uses. So in the car, I think it's one of the first things we think about, but there could be many of them. The one caveat I have is, if you do the thing on the kitchen table, how many times will it activate by mistake?
I literally, as you were saying that, thought of a way to handle that. Okay. And I'm stealing it from the Apple Watch. You know how the Apple Watch gives you a notification by a vibration in your wrist, and it tries to change the vibrations based on what kind of notification it's sending you? What if just tapping doesn't turn on the lights? You tap a certain pattern. So, a pattern turns on the lights. Now,
it's like Morse code for a smart home. Yeah.
Just like da 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 will turn on the lights. It's something you're less likely to do by accident.
Right. You know what that sounds like when you're describing it like this? It sounds like that technology in the 70s where you would clap your hands and your lights would come on.
Yeah. It's the clapper.
Yeah.
I mean, the smart home in many ways. I mean, it's not unlike that. That was just something that was before its time.
Did I kill it? Did I just kill this company? I'm sorry. I
apologize.
Tap off. It's the tapper.
I've been trying to think about, okay, what would be some sort of an object that is it my desk? Is it, the kitchen table? Is it a floor? Something that I interact with if I just had to choose. Okay, what's the most convenient, thing that's in my house that I would want to incorporate into this?
Well, and also, okay, while you're thinking of that, remember, it can also be another situation. So I actually, TechCrunch article suggested this. What if you had wood cases now for electronic devices, and then you just tap on them? So get rid of all those buttons, man. Apple will love this. They don't need any more buttons, because you can just tap on the side to do whatever it is you need to do that a button would have done before.
I think that would be possible now already with one or two buttons, but maybe not. I think, the thing that's happening with this kind of technology is that we're always thinking about it in terms of what we already know. And I think if it works as advertised, it's transformative enough that it will spring different unexpected kinds of uses. And that's the most exciting thing, right?
Yeah. There's a developer out there right now who was trying to figure out how to solve something, that hears about this and says, wait, that would solve my problem. And it's a product that none of us had ever thought of before. And everybody was telling him maybe wouldn't work until this came along. That's the case.
Have you found the example of the thing you would love to use it for, Sarah?
No, and I keep thinking no, but a lot of the stuff is exactly what you said. It seems like, oh, do I really need it? And then you have it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I ever lived without my Echo, or whatever it is. So, I've been racking my brain thinking, what would be the best place for something like this to be incorporated? And I don't know, maybe the kitchen table, somewhere that I go every day.
So let's think a little bit wider. With something like this, your home could know where everyone is in the house and which member of the family is where, and couple this with a little bit of an intelligent assistant. It can set up the house without you having to worry about it. Like if you're walking from your room to your bathroom, it can light up the hallway without you having to put in these creepy cameras that are going to be watching you all the time. This is the same thing, but much more discreet because it's a couple of sensors in the floor.
And it's simpler. There's other ways to do it too. You could track a phone signal or a watch signal, but here it's like if you're not wearing your watch, it still works, right? It just works all the time because it's based on you, not something you carry or something it's trying to observe through a camera. That's a good example.
Maybe.
It's easy for me to sort of chuckle and be like, well, I wish I lived in a house big enough where I like wondered where the other people in my family were. However, when I think about this, realistically, even in the relatively small apartment I live in, it would be nice to know what room my dog is in if I, had an easy way to do that.
There you go.
So, all right.
Where's
Even
Sam
for the little peasants like me, we can make use of the smartphone. I would also like to have the floor illuminated when I walk to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Hey, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can submit stories and you can vote on other stories submitted by your peers at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. We're also on Facebook. Check us out. Hang out. Leave a note, interact, facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow.
We want to hear from you, feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com, and then it goes in the mailbag, and then Sarah reads it like this.
Correct. Dolan from the Smoky Hills of Tennessee. Dare I say, Dolan might be a cow person. Before sending this email, Dolan says, I double-checked my Patreon pledge and was astonished to find my patronage of DTNS was AWOL. I'm not sure what happened, but I'm glad I checked because now it's back in action. Thanks for the effort to make the world better. Oh, that's nice. When you discussed the Movidius neural compute stick a few days ago, you asked for input from developers who are using it. The project I'm using it with is a mobile IoT application. We need machine learning that can move and interact with the world. I'm not at liberty to discuss the specifics of the project, but imagine a drone that could adapt in real time as it interacts with its surroundings. The narrow physical dimensions of the device make it perfect for developing mobile IoT projects.
And then he can use the hypersurface technology that he has trained locally with his Movidius stick to be able to like sense the vibrations around him in the air with the drone. Or not.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Dolan. I don't know how you get those cows up there on those smoky hills, but we appreciate it. Patron on yesterday's discussion about Apple cutting production numbers said, forecasting is tough. Tim Cook comes from the supply chain side of things and knows what he's doing naturally in that regard. He doesn't have a marketing or sales background, and that sometimes shows. Overall, it's not bad. It's just something to factor in. Cutting orders from a record high still puts their sales up at very high numbers compared to a year ago. To someone untrained, it might look like trouble when in reality, Tim might be just correcting course before it becomes a problem for Apple. If this all means financial trouble for Apple, then they'd need to provide guidance to investors, which hasn't happened yet. So the concern seems to be premature. From what I can see, Apple is doing the right thing, even if unnamed suppliers are complaining privately to the Wall Street Journal. And Justin Robert Young always says, consider who benefits from this leak. And that might tell you something.
Completely agree. But we've been hearing about 30%, as you discussed last time. 30% is always, I think, legitimate to be concerned about. But yeah, maybe not.
Well, thanks, Talon. Thanks, Natron. And thanks to Patrick Beja for being with us on this wonderful Tuesday, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving in the U.S. Patrick, besides hopefully having some sort of a Thanksgiving feast on your side of the world, what's new?
Every day is a Thanksgiving feast in my house. So yes, I will.
Wasn't that nice for you?
So yes, a couple of things. First, MVGB, if you enjoy video games casually and want to know about the latest things, the important things that have been happening, then go check out MVGB. That's a show I do with Scott Johnson every month. It's easy and fun. And the other thing I would say is if you speak French, then why aren't you already listening to Le Rendezvous Tech? That's something you should be doing. And if you are, thank you for doing so. So Le Rendezvous Tech is my French tech show, and it's fun, and I would suspect you might like it. So go check it out.
David Michael, who runs the DTNS store for us, wanted me to let you know that starting midnight Thursday until midnight Monday, and a few people, or one person in particular in our Discord, and I were saying, well, midnight Thursday, do you mean 12:01 a.m., David? But anyway, from Thursday morning, 12:01 a.m. until midnight Monday, you can use the code for non-patrons, gobble gobble to get 15% off anything at dailytechnewsshow.com/store. That once again at checkout, gobble gobble, GOBBLE, GOBBLE at dailytechnewsshow.com/store. And starting Thursday, you'll find an option to buy a bundle of a classic logo of DTNS t-shirt, mug, and hat, or the new logo t-shirt, mug, and hat for $50. That saves you $10 if you bought them individually. It's all at dailytechnewsshow.com/store.
Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're also live Monday through Friday. Join us if you can, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 21:30 UTC. Find out more. Tell a friend. dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with Scott Johnson. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Diamond Club, I did.
I enjoyed it too.
Heck of a program.
Really? Like, not even joking.
No, I'm not either.
Proud to be associated with it.
Me too.
I'm proud to have invented it.
Proud to be a cow person.
I want to be a cow person.
Gosh, I forgot about that song.
Oh, yeah, that's a deep cut.
Who sang that one?
I don't even remember.
There's Look Ma. Titles. Look Ma, no passwords.
That's cute.
That's good. I feel like that sounds kind of familiar. That's all.
Okay. Val pulls the plug on Steam, or the out of Steam from Fred. Then
There's a lot of good suggestions.
it's buttons all the way down.
or the absence of.
Yeah. No more buttons.
No more buttons. That's a good one.
All right. Want to do that?
Yeah. No.
All right.
All right.
Buttons.
Well,
buttons.
Now that we all pulled together and found the title, I'm gonna retire.
No
I mean,
more.
You're so young. You're so
Patrick,
young.
you have so much life in your career left. Don't retire just yet.
It's okay. I'll unretire. You know, this is a way to generate interest in the press.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jay-Z's done it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
No, it's good. It's good. Yeah. Spread the word.
So-
Patrick Beja is retired and then triumphantly
Exactly.
might be back next week.
I don't know. Who knows? We'll
Who
find out
knows?
next Tuesday.
Have a reunion episode where you come back.
All right. See you soon.
All right. Bye.
Sleep tight.
Sleep
Don't
tight.
let
We should really figure out some Finnish goodbye phrases.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
You're finished.
I'll
How's
say,
that?
what are you trying to say? I don't.
Yes.
Oh, that's supposed to be finished.
You're finished is just good. It's like
Yeah. Good finish, Tom. Halfway there already.
Hivasti.
Is that a goodbye?
Hyvästi.
Hivasti. That's good.
Tragedy. Oh,
Hyvästi.
okay. Well, let's say that next week.
Yeah,
Let's
let's-
let's surprise him.
You totally won't forget.
Yeah, no, this is something we'll definitely be really prepared for after a holiday weekend.
Yep.
there's something similar
The
to
trip to Japan will lend itself well.
hmm,
I don't know about you guys, but my Thanksgiving, we're doing sort of it's like a family friend mishmash. Which is always fun, you know. My mom she's actually coming into town today
Mhm.
later on. And then, some friends of mine are in town, but we're eating early. You know, it's the old school Thanksgiving. We're eating at like 3.
Mm-hmm.
wait, that's 3. Wow.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, Thanksgiving dinner was early.
Yeah, for us too.
Yeah. And then it kind of got later over the years. And then it kind of became like, well, it depends on who you're with and whatever.
Yeah, I
And
know
I'm not
some
with
people
like a
ate-
big extended family that, was the same group of folks that it was like when I was younger. But
Some
Yeah,
people
my
ate
friend-
dinner Thanksgiving like at 7, right?
Right,
But we always
yeah.
had it around noon.
yeah, it was always because there's a football game on. And so you'd kind of wait for the football game to
Mhm.
wrap up and then get some of the
Oh,
family
yeah.
members off the couch. And then,
Football
yeah, it
games
was,
start Central Time till noon. So you definitely didn't wait for them to wrap up.
Oh, I guess not.
Yeah.
But it was like we were sitting down to dinner when it was like still really light outside.
Mhm.
That was always how it was. So anyway, I mentioned this because a friend of mine who's hosting me and a few other people is having dinner at 3. And I'm like, nice, because what happens is you go overboard and by 7 p.m. you've already had a nap.
Right.
And it's like you're feeling good. And then you can go back into maybe a little leftovers.
Right. A little turkey sandwich, maybe.
Yeah, go back maybe for
Fried
around
stuffing.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little more pie.
I just bought the largest pumpkin pie ever.
Was it from Costco?
No, from Ralph's.
Is it how is it like? Don't pies kind of max out at a certain?
No, the ones at Costco are like a good
Or
3
or
inches
like-
wider.
Really?
Yeah, this is
Oh.
pizza pie size.
Oh, nice.
Designed to feed giants.
Or people who just like pumpkin pie a lot.
That's
a
me.
lot of pumpkin.
Yeah, we went to Ralph's and it was busy, definitely busy, but it wasn't a night.
Crazy. Yeah.
I heard people like, "Oh, don't come, wait till you come in tomorrow." But the checker that checked us out said, she's like, "Oh yeah, it's been pretty busy since Sunday. Like that's when it started to pick up."
Yeah, I am my local store. I actually, as much as I've used like their salad bar and their vitamin section, and I don't really know what their bakery is like. I haven't really checked it out, but I suspect they probably have pretty good pies. Assuming that I'm not gonna just throw it all together and make a pie by
They also bought Tim Tams, which I immediately regretted when I got home because I will want to eat them because they're Tim Tams and they're delicious. But I couldn't resist. I'm like, they have Tim Tams here. That's amazing. I'm buying.
They have them at Target. Oh, are they at Ralph's now?
Yeah.
Huh. I'll have to look at that. Probably a bad news for me.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Because as soon as I got home, we're unloading. I put the Tim.
I
I'm
mean,
like,
really? Are they even cookies? They're more like giant Twix.
yeah, they're Twix. They're essentially like maybe that's why we are so fascinated with them in the US, because they're essentially a big cookie-sized bag of Twix.
Well, that sounds pretty good.
I-
I don't know that I've had them. I know what they are. I'm
They're
not
not
sure I've ever
bad.
had them though.
Oh, you've had them because I
I have.
brought them to your house.
Yeah.
And I watched you eat them.
Oh, yeah. I like those. That's right. I get Tim Tams confused with there's another, I don't know, international treat
Mhm.
that I'm
That you
always
haven't
getting them mixed up. I don't know. I don't eat a lot of sweets
Nutella.
except when Tom brings them to my house. Then I eat them.
I don't remember what flavor I brought when we did.
I remember them being very Twix like. Twix
Yeah.
is that's a good candy bar.
I always enjoy a good Twix.
Me too. Yeah. For
Twix,
all of the poo-pooing I do
crackle.
about a Kit Kat, I do like a Twix.
Mm-hmm.
I like
And-
the old style Kit Kats, the ones that don't melt in your hand when you touch it.
Well, you mean the real Kit Kats like you get in Canada or everywhere else that are made by Nestle rather than ones here, which are made of horrible chocolate.
Well, they used to be made like the ones overseas, but like
know.
during the 90s, like someone bought a giant plant of cocoa powder, decided to make it a candy bar.
I don't think it's so much the cocoa powder as it is the sugar. They don't use sugar, they use corn syrup. I think that makes them meltier too.
So Kit Kats are made by Nestle outside of the US, but not in the US?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's licensed.
How about that?
License to melt.
the Kit Kat James Bond story. License to melt.
I mean, I can see, corn syrup is so much cheaper and it mixes well because it's a liquid,
Yeah.
but it's just not good for candy.
It doesn't taste good. That's my problem.
It tastes like the sweet part of the corn.
Well, yeah, and it is sweet. I remember my dad bringing us high fructose corn syrup home from work and having us test it, and we're like, yeah, it tastes great, sweet.
They, I know they sell corn syrup in the supermarket, but I don't know if it's high fructose. I assume it is.
Good question. I've never looked.
For all your baking goods.
Over there. Can't see the video. I just hear.
Oh, where you don't see my video?
No, it's hidden behind all the stuff that I'm using to edit the show.
I was just opening up my. I don't know why my desk is very loud today. Sorry about that.
Maybe it's me. Maybe my hearing got better or something.
Well, because and here's the thing: is like, okay, so it was funny yesterday. We were trying to pinpoint like where's the sound of those kids? It was kids outside of my house, but yeah, it's at my old apartment. There would be times where it'd be like leaf blowers and the garbage man and screaming crazy people. And I'd be like, can you guys hear that? And you'd be like, no, can't hear a thing. So I got used to just being like, whatever I can hear, no one can hear it.
Yeah.
But apparently now you can.
Different acoustics or something? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm technically near a window, but I was like, I did rustle around on my desk a little earlier and you were like, I can hear that. So I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, the mic's set up the way it usually is, but just maybe it just got more sensitive.
Well, and with this earpiece that I use, I usually don't hear much unless it's really audible, because it's not like I have a big old set of headphones where I'm getting like
same
full audio fidelity. So
same.
I figure if I can hear it, it must really be there.
Well, I mean, it's good to know. It's good to know when there's.
What else did I've also bought cherry preserves.
Preserving cherries.
For what?
That just look really, really good for like making sandwiches and stuff.
Oh, like to use like as jam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question.
Yeah.
I know the difference between jam and jelly, at least consistency wise. What are preserves?
Good. That is a good question.
Preserves are typically the whole fruit as all the edible parts of the fruit.
Right.
And then
not necessarily the fruit is whole, but the whole fruit's in there.
Yeah. And then because what you're doing is you're trying to preserve the fruit as opposed to like jam and jelly. There's a difference. I think jam has some fruit in it, but jelly is just a fruit juice that you add pectin to make.
But I mean, we used to make jam. Well, my mom used to make jam when I was a kid. And I mean, I don't think blackberry jam, for example, was the whole fruit. But maybe she was making preserves the whole time.
Yeah, she might have been making preserves.
Huh.
I wonder if like you can use the name somewhat interchangeably too.
People do, but when I went up to what's that city past San Rafael? But anyways, we went Christmas tree hunting with
Sebastopol.
Yeah, Sebastopol to look up
past San Rafael. It's past a lot of places.
Yeah, well, no, I just think when I'm driving.
Also, Sarah Lane's birthland.
Right, I'm like, what's next to San Rafael? Sebastopol? No, you're like 45 miles out.
Along the way, there's like a little jam place.
When he does like, I don't know, it's up there. Past
San Rafael, north of there.
Off the edge.
No, in fact, I know about this because you guys used to go to the Apple Ranch. Well, we call it the Apple Ranch. It's called the Twin Hill Ranch.
Yeah,
not there anymore.
That's
closed.
Well, I know. It's very sad. I actually
best apple pies ever.
They had the best apple juice. And it's like when I'm talking apple juice, I'm not talking Martinelli's. I'm talking unfiltered
cider.
Yeah, it's and it comes in a big plastic
gallon jug.
And we would freeze them. Because there was just my whole life was apples. And then when you'd unfreeze it, like halfway through the unfrozen process in the fridge, then you shake it. And so then you'd have like this icicle laden apple juice.
Like an icy, but healthy.
It was just so good. Oh gosh, I wish I had that right now.
That sounds so good right now.
It's so good.
Well, we're going to leave the video viewers with that image in their minds. Thanks for watching. Patreon subscribers listening to audio, whether it's on Discord or through Good Day Internet feed, stick around. There's more to come.